C'est le boo, everybody, and welcome back to the HabWrap. I'm your host, Harry Rice. This is the this is the friendliest and funniest source for anything and everything Montreal Canadiens. And oh boy, do we have a game to talk about tonight, because the Canadiens played tonight, of course. There's not many other reason for us to be live as of right now. No trades, no signings, no nothing as of right now, just games. So, yeah, the Canadiens had a game tonight. It is the second of a 4-game homestand. They played the Los Angeles Kings tonight. And, well, without spoiling the final result, it was probably the worst game we've seen from the Canadiens this season. Overall wise, at least. There was a total lack of effort after the first period. And I don't like that this is slowly becoming a trend this year. Now, of course, despite how the game turned out, we come into tonight 10-3-2, which looks fantastic. But when you realize how many of those are 1-goal games, it's not good. That we require winning by a goal so often and can't close out games and can't blow out opponents, and that trend continues tonight, unfortunately. So yeah, let's get into the lines, because we're gonna talk about the game. So the opening lines for the Canadiens were Caulfield, Suzuki, Slavkovsky, Newhook, Kapanen, Demidov, Bolduc, Doc, Gallagher, and Anderson, Evans, Veleno. Matheson, Dobson, Struble, Hudson, and Jack-Eye Carrier were on the blue line. Samuel Montembeault, of course, he gets the start in net, and Jakub Dobeš backs him up. We'll see if he gets the start on Thursday. My guess is that he probably does give Montembeault the tough game in the Bruins on Saturday. The opening lines for the Kings were Armia, Kopitar, Kempe, Fiala, Byfield, Laferriere, Kuzmenko, Danault, Moore, and Foegele, Turcotte, Perry. Anderson, Doughty, that's Mikey, not Josh, obviously. Edmondson, Clark, and Dumoulin, CC around the blue line. Darcy Kemper gets the start net for the Kings, and Anton Forsberg backs him up. Surprised to find out he is, I think, 6-0-0 so far with the Kings. So a lot of former Canadians returning tonight. Armia, his first time back in the Bell Center since signing with the LA Kings. Phil Deneau, of course, has been there for a few years. Corey Perry. Corey Perry in his first year with the LA Kings. And Joel Edmondson in, I believe, as well, his first year with the LA Kings, and I believe 3 years after leaving the Canadiens. So a good amount of Montreal Canadiens in the LA Kings lineup tonight. Before the game, I already mentioned Armia. Corey Perry on a big hot streak for the Kings. I think he comes in with, I think, was 11 points in 13 games or 10 points in 11 games. He's been really good, especially on that fourth line, and I think he also gets power play time. So Corey Perry, he's going to want to look to score against his former team. And of course, as well, I'd be remiss if I don't mention, it is Remembrance Day today. There was a wonderful pregame tribute to some veterans. That was really nice to see. Puck drop, of course, down with a couple vets. That was awesome. And last note before the game, Kopitar's last game in Montreal. He has confirmed he's retiring after this year. I think he confirmed it right at the beginning of the year. So yeah, his last game in the Bell Center, last game in Montreal. Best luck in retirement to Anze Kopitar. We do see him again one more time, assuming he doesn't get hurt, which obviously hoping he doesn't, but we do see him one more time in Los Angeles, but I believe that game's only in March. So yeah. The Kings cycle early. There's a good hit by Slavkovsky. Demidov with a nice pass to Kapanen, but there's a poke by Kemper. Good transition leads to that, but Kemper playing it pretty risky, but very, very smart with the poke there. Kings get a long-range shot. Monty makes the save, and for the first time in I believe it's 4 games total, the Canadiens don't allow a goal on the first shot. Monty allowed it last game. It was Monty last game, I'm pretty sure. Dobeš the game before, and then Monty before that. So, it's a bit of a weird trend we had for a few games, but obviously that would not happen tonight. If it did, that would probably have meant that we played very good defense by the time we did allow the first goal, but we'll get to that. Dobson the other way, there's a screen in front, a shot from the line, that's stopped. Caulfield has a drop to Suzuki with the one-timer, that's a good save. Byfield off a pass, he gets loose, the shot goes off the post. Canadiens get a very lucky break there that they don't allow that one. Habs keep a puck in at the line, it gets poked at. Demidov's on it. There's an immediate shot. I'm doing a bad job of describing this. The Canadiens were in the zone. Kings tried to clear, but it's held in. I think it was Kapanen. Just kind of pokes it, passes it up to Demidov, who is already in the zone, obviously, because it was just off of some pressure. And Demidov just doesn't even touch it at first, just waits for it, gets the one-timer, but that is saved. The shots were actually 4-1 Montreal, and this is all 5 minutes in. That's right, this is not... we're not like 12 minutes in or anything. No, this is 5 minutes in. There's a very, very fast pace to the game early on. Trevor Moore has a shot off of a rebound. A good pair of stops by Samuel Montembeault there. Kings end up icing a puck 7 minutes in after a battle along the boards. And the Habs go to a power play early on. Brad Clark, he gets called for a hook. Caulfield hit him. Both went hard into the net. Caulfield was a bit slow to get up. Thankfully, would stay in the game. Probably just one of those, just, ow, I'm a little sore. Give me a second, I'll be good. Yoel Armia, we took a commercial break after the power play got called. Yoel Armia gets honored during the commercial break. Nice to see that. Kings clear after Habs had won the faceoff. Habs with some setup. Hudson finds Slavkovsky. That gets saved. Hudson has speed. He looks for a shot, but he gets hooked hard into the boards, and it's a 5-on-3. Cody Ceci gets called for that. Both those penalties, if I can get the time. That was at 7:03 and then 7:55. So the Habs with a minute and 10. About a minute. No, about a minute. Yeah, about a minute, 10 minute, 20, whatever. Of 5-on-3 time. Big amount of time. Habs do set up. They get chances, but they just can't score. Suzuki gets one right in front, but that gets kind of deflected wide. The shot's sort of wide. Caulfield has one, and that's wide. The Canadiens just can't get a shot. Sorry. And then there's another one for Caulfield. There's a shot that got blocked. The rebound does sort of find Caulfield, but it's a bouncer, and he just can't get a stick on it. That would have been a wide open net as well for him. Kings do clear down the 5-on-3. Habs press, but they don't get any shots on the 5-on-4. The Habs are 0 for 2 on the power play. And then the Habs go to the penalty kill at 10:06. Doc gets called for a clean hit on a Kings player who's with the puck. That was very iffy, but never mind. It actually is a understandable call. Doc delivered a bit of a trip. I don't know if it's worthy of getting called 100%, but I get why they did call it. It did look like there was a trip on that play. Habs clear twice. Hudson then clears. Newhook has a clear. Kings with speed. There's a good stop from Monty, and the puck gets held. The play is actually blown dead, which helps Montreal. The puck is loose. I don't know why I said the puck is held. Monty makes the save, but the puck is loose, but it's blown dead. That actually helps Montreal because they had passed it to Brand Clark, who was about to have a wide open net as Monty kind of tried laying down, but he couldn't on the puck at first. So Canadiens get a lucky break there. There's a good clear that finds Evans. He comes in shorthanded. The shot goes off the stick. Habs are 1 for 1 on the penalty kill. Byfield sort of bumped Montembeault, it looked like. That doesn't get called. And then there's another penalty. Doc is called for a phantom high stick on Byfield. On the first look of the replay, you can tell that stick doesn't hit Byfield. They showed the camera they have in the glass, or I don't think it's in the glass, but they showed the glass cam, as we'll call it, and it shows no, Byfield got hit by the puck. They showed that I think 7 minutes later, and it's like, yeah, no, that was a phantom call, and it sucks that Doc gets called for something he didn't do. But either way, the Kings are on the power play. Kings hit the post. Habs end up clearing. Kopitar in front, he gets a look. The Habs try to clear, but that gets held in. Kings end up cycling, but Dobson gets a clear. Kapanen has good speed on a near 3-on-2 rush. The Habs are 2 for 2 on the penalty kill tonight. Habs have a good rush. Hudson's in with speed. Pass to Gallagher, but the shot is just wide. Jack-Eye nearly lays the body on Fiala, who sees it coming at center ice. Habs look to push, but Kemper holds on to bouncer from the line. Canadiens get some cycle going, and they score on a rush. Josh Anderson in the final minute with 43 seconds left in the period. He gets his second of the year. Yeah. Really, really good. Funny enough, Evans actually buried the rebound because he knows Anderson probably didn't get that. So he buries it just in case. But surprisingly, Anderson did get the net with that goal. Just a really nice rush chance. Evans to Hudson, who finds Anderson. Fucking slaps that shit home. So Anderson scores from Hudson and Evans with 43 seconds left. Kings actually look to time the final seconds. There's a Fiala shot wide. That's all they get. And a little bit of shoving after the whistle. Doc and Laferriere after each other. Both teams get involved, but there's not much there. No penalties even either. The Habs have a 1-0 lead, but the shots are 11-10 for the Kings after the first. So despite the Canadiens pushing in the opening 5, the Kings would fight back in terms of shots. Montembeault had a pretty good first period, I thought, and looking like for the third game that he's played in a row that he's going to shut up the Montembeault haters, or as I call them, morons. I don't kid. In the second period, the Habs try to rush. There's a poke that gives the Kings the puck. There's a press as Fiala gave Montembeault an extra whack after he held onto a puck. Matheson gives him a cross check. That's good on him. However, on the ensuing draw, the Kings score. Edmondson has a shot that Veleno screens right in front. He doesn't try to block the shot. He's just screening, I guess, trying to screen Edmondson to make him shoot off, but it doesn't work. It's just a really good shot from Edmondson. He gets his first of the year. I believe his first as an LA King. That's at a minute 17. He scores from Brand Clark and Anze Kopitar, who I believe they said Kopitar now has 599 road assists in his career. So that's a lot of road points. Jack-Eye then has a hard cross check on Deneau. The fans weren't sure if they should cheer that. The answer is yes. The Habs have a delayed penalty all of a sudden. There's a tip shot just wide. Kings cycle. It looks like Gallagher got a touch on a puck, but they don't rule that he has control of the puck. And the Kings end up scoring. Quinton Byfield makes it 2-1 Kings. Now this is why I was iffy earlier on saying that they scored for 5-on-5 goals. It's because of this one, because they do get the extra attacker out, but the penalty wasn't called yet. It's sort of a power play goal. There was a delayed penalty, but the Canadiens realistically should have just gotten the puck at some point if they wanted to just take the penalty. But yeah, Byfield, he scores that on a rebound that Dobson doesn't track off an Edmondson shot. Byfield buries that, his third of the year from Edmondson and Kempe. That comes at 4-17. Dobson, I can't even say that's his fault there. That's just a well-placed shot, and the rebound's just, Byfield's just perfectly there. That's just a really good play. And all of a sudden, the Kings go up 3-1. Yeah, 4:30 in, we've got 2 goals from LA. Veleno has a good hit on CC. Kings rush the other way, and it's 3-1. Yeah, 2 goals in about a minute, 5 seconds. So what happens is, I believe it's Alex Laferriere. He takes a shot. Montembeault has it and gets it to Kevin Fiala. He tries to pass to Jaden Struble, but Fiala's there, and it's 3-1 Kings, just like that. So that's the only goal that you can really blame on Samuel Montembeault tonight, in my opinion. You ideally want him to cover that, for sure. That's just an unfortunate play, really. That's just unfortunate. The Edmondson goal was just a really well-timed rocket. The Byfield shot, it's a rebound goal he puts home. that this Fiala goal is really the only one that you look at and say, yeah, Monty easily could have had that one and probably should have. More than likely should have, really. So it's 3-1. It was all Kings. Habs didn't even have a shot yet in the second 8 minutes in. It was all LA. Very surprised to see the Habs would actually end up tying them in shots at the end of the period, but yeah, 8 minutes in, the Kings have scored 3 goals. The Canadiens don't even have a single shot, unfortunately. So yeah, Kings would end up going to a power play about 8 minutes in. That's at 7:42. Newhook's called for a trip on Yoel Armia. Habs do clear. Anderson tries to get in shorthanded, but he doesn't. Evans has a good steal. He gets the Canadiens' first shot of the period. Kemper has an easy save there. Matheson ends up clearing along the boards. Suzuki has speed. He breaks a man trying to hold him. He passes it to Dobson, and the shot is just wide. If the Canadiens get that, this game probably ends up being completely different from here on out. Dobson then levels a King in the Canadiens' corner, I should say. Habs are 3 for 3 on the penalty kill tonight. Shots at this point were 6-1 Kings halfway through the period, so I did track the shots at some point. So that means the shots were probably 5-0 when the Kings had scored that third goal. But the Habs go to a power play at 10:26, just a few moments after the penalty kill of their own ends. The Kings get called for too many men. Hudson has a hold at the line, but there's a pass from Slafkovsky to Suzuki. That gets cleared. Slafkovsky from this point on did not have a good game. Yuri Slafkovsky, unfortunately, had a game that I think you got to put him on the second line for the next game. I think you're switching Slav and Demidov. Even if it's just for the one game, you got to show Slafkovsky that a game like tonight, just he can't do that. He can't have games like this. He's on the top line. Suzuki and Caulfield played relatively all right. I think Suzuki had a decent game still. You got to show Slafkovsky that you cannot have these types of games. Granted, it might be a bit of a punishment just dropping him to the second line instead of just, hey, play well, just play the way you used to play. Last game didn't happen. Don't dwell on that game. But like Demidov, Suzuki, and Caulfield, I think you got to at least try it. I like Slafkovsky. I love Slafkovsky. Just, oh my God, from here on out, he does not have a good game. The second unit comes out after another clear. There's a look and a rebound. CC clears it before Doc can get there, though. That would have been huge to make it a 3-2 game right there. Kings get another clear. The Habs are 0 for 3 on the power play, so they're perfect on the penalty kill. Their power play just sucks, unfortunately. Anderson then has a big hit. The Habs can't get a shot. I put the Habs top... Oh, no, I get what I mean now. Habs top unit looks to press, but just not many shots. Kemper holds a long ranger from Dobson with 5 minutes left. Bolduc then misses a hit on a King. He goes right into the boards. He was a bit slow to get up. Doc takes a long range shot. That's held by Kemper. Habs just did not look confident. They were not trying to get any guys in the slot. They were not looking for a tip. They were just, hey, take a shot. Who knows? Maybe something goes in, and just that's not going to work. Habs press. Slav and Veleno actually looked okay. They connected for a few passes. Jacki has a good shot. Slav has one that's deflected out of play. Demidov had been put on the top line. I think that's just because Slav is out there with pressure during a line change. Caulfield gets hit by Kemper then. He's tripped up right afterwards as well. No call on either. And that's not Caulfield skating through the crease. Kemper's like, hey, get out of here. No. Kemper comes out of his crease to give him a little shove, and that I don't like. Kings end up icing a puck with 53 seconds left. I said the Habs need one. Just go into the third with good vibes. Nope. Kings win the draw. Matheson has a shot at the line. That's stopped at the buzzer, so... yeah, Canadiens are down 3-1, and the Kings have the lead in shots 19-16. In the third period, Kings ice a puck 30 seconds in. Kempe has a shot that's double deflected just wide of the net. That was very, very scary. It was inches, it looked like, from hitting at least the post, if not going in. Habs, I said second unit, I meant second line. Try to get something. They're just dumping the puck. They can't. they're just not finding anything whatsoever. Caulfield, though, suddenly he gets space. There's a shot just stopped by the pad of Kemper. Slav was back on the top line. That would not last. They try to press. Kings in number, though, after Hudson stick breaks. There's a good stop by Montembeault. Gallagher tries to scream Kemper. Bolduc was open at the bottom of the circle. He fires one that stopped. Jackeye then hits Byfield. There's a Kings icing moments later. Veleno and Edmondson exchanged a few shots at each other after Edmondson kind of gave Veleno a cross-check. Veleno gave him a shove back. Slavkovsky gives the puck away as the Habs try to press. And they score shortly after. Yoel Armia, the former Montreal Canadien, well, I shouldn't say one of the former Montreal Canadiens on this team, beats Lane Hudson to a puck in his own zone. Hudson bobbled on a puck, and he tried to skate back in time, and Armia just stick lifts him. He's off to it, and he makes it 4-1. I can't put that one on Montembeault. It's a clean break. Hudson just has to play better defense there. I love Lane Hudson, and he tries defensively a lot of the time. I should also mention this was his 100th NHL game tonight, Lane Hudson. He's got to play better D there. Quite frankly, that's as simple as it goes. He's got to play better D. Whack at Armia's stick if you have to. Just, draw a penalty, take a penalty, maybe a penalty shot if you're very unlucky, but just you can't let him just come in, strip you, and just immediately get a shot on net. That can't happen. Habs try to press, but just nothing. The Kings, who at first kind of allowed the Canadiens to come in, gave them space. After a while, they just played trap hockey. They shut things down. It looked like they were running a 1-3-1 out there with how many Canadian shots just were not happening. How many chances the Canadiens were bobbling on. Passes, I should say, they were bobbling on in the slot. The Kings were just turnover machines in a good way. Demidov's back on the top line with 5 minutes left. Kemper has a hold on an easy shot. I should say that Armia goal is unassisted. That comes at 11:08. Habs, for some reason, down by 3. Pull Montembeault with 4:45 left. I saw that they did that, and out loud I said, well, hey, it can't get worse than this. Well, yeah, it turns out it can. Warren Foegele gets his second of the year. Armia's goal, by the way, was his third. Foegele scores from Phil Deneau at 15:32 with about 4:47 left. Yeah, right off the draw as well, the Kings won the face-off. They iced the puck, and on the next shift, they just get it down the ice, and then Foegele ends up bearing that chance. Just you have the extra attacker, and you can't pressure with a goddamn. What is the point of pulling the goaltender then? I get it's probably a wake-up call. Hey, we pulled the goalie, the guy who you're supposed to play in front of. Do something now, and then they just didn't. Habs can barely complete 3 passes after that empty net goal. They just want to get the game over with, move on to the game against Texas on Thursday. And Monty has a glove stop with 30 seconds left. The game slowed right down. That pace that was there in the first 5 to 8 minutes, where it was like, oh shit, all right, cool, back and forth chances, this is gonna be a fun game, completely died as soon as it was 3-1 Kings. The Kings just took any energy out of the Bell Center. The Canadiens just lost all confidence. And it's sad, too, because the Canadiens were, I think, what did they say, 6-1-2 when leading after the first period. And they were, I think it said 1-0-2 when trailing after the second period. So it's like, okay, well, even if we lose, we should get a point by going to overtime. That would be good, come back, tie it up at least. And then no, we just laid a fat turd on the ice in the third period. I don't like that this is slowly becoming a trend for the Canadiens. I noticed that in the game against Utah, excluding the game against Utah, I should say. But you look at the game against Jersey, we slowed it down, we allowed them to come back in it, and that's why we take the L in overtime. The Flyers, just an absolutely unacceptable game that we should have destroyed them in. The game against the Senators, of course, is a win, but the Seattle game, we allowed them to come back in that one, and we end up winning. It's slowly becoming a trend where the Canadiens seem fine at just holding off, allowing more goals, as long as they have that one extra goal. They need to go up in a game 3-0, 4-0, 5-1, 5-2 even, and have to keep applying the pressure. I was watching a little bit of the post-game presser tonight before I recorded, and I saw someone in the YouTube chat actually mention something very, very good. Look at how the Kings were playing the shutdown defense tonight. They allowed a few shots in the opening 5, but after that, they shut it right down. They did not allow any Canadiens chances, and the few they did were long-range shots, very easy stops for Darcy Kemper. They weren't giving up 10, 15 shots, 3 really good opportunities, and just, oh, hey, our goaltender played well. That's why we win tonight. No, they played shutdown hockey. Hey, we've got a 3-1 lead at that point, then a 4-1 lead, and then a 5-1 lead. All right, keep applying the same pressure. Act like it's a 2-1 game. Act like it's a 2-1 game. Don't allow any chances. Don't allow any shots. And if you're going to, make sure they're from long range. Make sure Kemper can see it all the way. The game slowed right down, and that's a benefit of the LA Kings and how good they played tonight. Despite in a league where it's extremely fast now, if you can still slow a game down and control it the way the Kings did, you're probably gonna win. You're probably gonna win games if you can manage that great defensive style of holding a lead. So the Canadiens lose this one 5-1. The final shots would be 26-22 for the LA Kings, and just not a game that Montreal unfortunately was in for a majority of it. They came out of that first period and said, all right, let's hold it, and then the Kings said, no, let's show these guys that they're not legit, and I'm honestly doubting if we are. I get it, we're still 10-4-2. We're still 10-4-2. We're still 22 points, whatever it is, or 21 points. I think it's 22 points on the season. We're still top of the Atlantic Division with Boston, and I think it's Tampa now. I think, or it might be Ottawa. Actually, I think it's Montreal, Boston, and Ottawa, or Boston, Ottawa, Montreal, Montreal, Boston, Ottawa. Boston being above us. That's funny. But still, it's the streak of games going to overtime, which was not ideal, and then it was just in general games ending with a goal, and now it's either we get blown out or we blow out the opponent if the last 2 games are anything to go off of. And the fact that we play Dallas next, I'm worried about, because Dallas is genuinely a really good team, and I would very much hope that we can at least get a point if we lose in overtime or the shootout. But that game against Boston, we got to be ready for that game. We can get blown out 9-0 in the game against Dallas, just as long as we're ready for that game against Boston, because those are 2 points we cannot afford to lose. We can't afford to have a 3-point game and win in overtime. We have to win that game in regulation. Not just because it's Boston, but just they're in the same division as us. You can't be having 3-point games against teams in your own division. So Montreal just needs to play better. Slavkovsky was a huge disappointment tonight. I just the whole team overall, I don't want to single out Juraj Slavkovsky, but the majority of the team played like shit tonight. The only 2 guys that I would probably say, actually there's 3 guys that I would say played a good game tonight. A decent to okay to good game tonight. Nick Suzuki, Alex Carrier from what I saw of him, and probably Arbor Jackeye. I don't recall seeing any Jackeye turnovers. He threw the body a little bit. He was doing his best to be responsible in his own zone. He was a good defensive guy, and just as far as I could tell, he wasn't on the ice for any goals against, as far as I can tell. Looking at the score sheet, him and Carrier were both evens on the board, which were the best for the Canadiens. So Carrier, I think you could argue, was also good tonight, but he only got 13 minutes. Did Arbor Jackeye. Carrier got 19 minutes. So Hudson being a -3 as well. He's got to get better. He's got to be better than that. He's got 14 points in, what is it now, 16 games. His defense is going to improve. It's going to get better. It might take a few years for it to get pretty good, but I hope by the end of this year that we can look at him and say he can at least be stable in his own zone. So all right, let's get to the stats and then let's get on out here. Let's do it. So Nick Suzuki, of course, leads the Montreal Canadiens in points still with 4 goals, 16 assists, 20 points. Goal Caulfield's got 12 goals, 6 assists, 18 points. Lane Hudson with a goal, 13 assists, 14 points. Ivan Demidov with 4 goals, 9 assists, 13 points. Alex Newhook with 6 goals, 6 assists for 12 points. Noah Dobson with a goal and 10 assists for 11 points. Oliver Kapanen with 6 goals, 4 assists, 10 points. Yaroslav Slavkovsky with 7 goals, 2 assists, 9 points. Mike Matheson, 3 goals, 6 assists for 9 points. Kirby Dach, 5 goals, 2 assists for 7 points. Brendan Gallagher's got 7 assists. Zach Bolduc with 4 goals, 2 assists for 6 points. He has been on a dry spell recently, it feels like. Alex Carrier with a goal, 5 assists for 6 points. Jake Evans and Josh Anderson each with 2 goals, 2 assists for 4 points. Jaden Strubl's got 3 assists. Kirby Dach, who's unfortunately still hurt, with a goal and an assist for 2 points. Arbor Jacki and Patrick Laine, who is still unfortunately hurt, each with an assist. Arbor Jacki leads the Canadiens with 2 fights, of course. Jaden Struble, Caden Gooley, and Joe Veleno each have a fight as well. So yeah, that is going to do it for this episode of the HabWrap. Thank you all so much for watching. Whether you're on YouTube, hit that sub button. If you're on Spotify, Amazon, all that good stuff, hit that follow. Don't forget to share this podcast with any friends, family, co-workers, colleagues, friends, whoever that you think might like a fat kid from Quebec talking about the Montreal Canadiens for half an hour after every game. Yeah, check out the links in the description if you are on YouTube. Yeah, thank you all so much for watching, and of course, as always remember, no matter how good we are like last year, how great we are like this year, go Habs go, on Montreal, and say with me everybody, Celebrate!